Hi, welcome to this Corbettmaths video. In this video, we're going to look at the video solutions to the combined mean practice questions. If you need any extra help on this topic, if you go to corbettmaths.com/contents and you go to video number 53A, or you could scan this QR code and that'll bring you straight to that video. But there's a video tutorial there on the combined mean and that'll be really useful for you. In this video, we're going to focus on the video solutions to the practice questions. So let's get started. So question number one. Question number one says Walter's got 5 baskets of apples. So he's got 5 baskets of apples. There are 9 apples in each of 3 of the baskets, and there's 24 apples in the other 2 baskets. And the question says work out the mean number of apples per basket. So in terms of this, we could do a little sketch. Here we've got a basket with 9 apples, another basket with 9 apples, another basket with 9 apples, a basket with 24 apples, and a basket with 24 apples. And we could add those up and see how many apples are all together, and then divide it by 5 because there's 5 baskets all together. So that's one approach we could use, and let's do that. Let's do 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 24 plus 24, and let's see how many apples are all together. And when we add those up, we get 75. So altogether, there's 75 apples. And then we just need to divide by the number of baskets, and that'll tell us the mean number of apples per basket. So 75 divided by 5 is equal to 15. So that means there's 15 apples per basket. And that's it. So in terms of this question, what we've done was we just done a little sketch with 3 baskets with 9 apples in them, 2 baskets with 24 apples in them, added them all up to see there were 75 apples, and then divided by 5 to find out the mean number of apples per basket. And that's it. Now this question was quite nice because there was only 3 baskets of 9 and 2 baskets of 24. Another way we could have done this question is we could have taken the number of apples in these baskets, which is 9, times it by 3 to get 27. We could have done 24 multiplied by 2, that's equal to 48, and then added them up to see how many apples there are, which is 75, and then divided that by the number of baskets, which is 5, and then that would have given us 15 as well. And that approach might have been quite useful if there was maybe 15 baskets or 18 baskets or something like that, a much bigger number. But in this question, it was quite nice, so we just used that approach. Okay, let's look at question number 2. Okay, let's have a look at question number 2. And question number 2 is another non-calculator question. And it says there's 20 houses in Fairfields and there's 80 houses in Meadowlands. And the mean number of cars per house in Fairfields is 1.5. And the mean number of cars per house in Meadowlands is 2. And the question says work out the mean number of cars per house in both villages. So let's find out how many cars there are in Fairfields to begin with. So in terms of Fairfields, well, the mean number of cars per house in Fairfields is 1.5. Now to work out this mean of 1.5, what we would have done is added up the number of cars and then divided by 20, and then that would have given us the mean. So if we take the mean, which is 1.5, and multiply that by 20, working backwards, we can find out how many cars there were. So if we take 1.5 and multiply by 20, that's equal to 30. That means there's 30 cars altogether in Fairfields, because 30 divided by 20 is 1.5. In terms of Meadowlands, if we consider Meadowlands, now in terms of Meadowlands, the mean number of cars per house is 2. So that means if we added up all the number of cars in Meadowlands and divided by 80, we would get 2. So if we work backwards, if we take the 2 and multiply that by 80, that'll tell us how many cars there are altogether in Meadowlands. And 2 multiplied by 80 is 160. So that's fantastic. We now know there's 30 cars in Fairfields and there's 160 cars in Meadowlands. So if we add those up, that'll tell us how many cars there are altogether. So 30 plus 160 is equal to 190. There's 190 cars altogether. And let's consider the number of houses. There's 20 in Fairfields and 80 in Meadowlands. So if we do 20 plus 80, that's equal to 100 houses altogether. So if we want to work out the mean number of cars per house, we just take the 190 and divide that by 100, and 190 divided by 100 would be equal to 1.9. So the mean number of cars per house in both of the villages is 1.9, and that's it. So what we done was we took the mean for Fairfields, we multiplied it by 20, we took the mean for Meadowlands and multiplied that by 80, and then we added those answers together, and that told us the total number of cars, and then we divided that by the total number of houses, and that gives the mean number of cars per house. Okay, question number 3. Okay, question number 3 says, in Tia's pencil case, she has 6 pencils that have got a mean mass of 7 grams, 10 pens that have got a mean mass of 12 grams, and 4 markers that have got a mean mass of 15 grams. And the question says, work out the mean mass of the 20 items in Tia's pencil case. So in terms of the pencils, the mean mass of the pencils is 7 grams. So that means if we added up the masses of each of the pencils and divided by 6, we would get 7. So if we take 7 and multiply that by the number of pencils, which is 6, we can find the total mass. And 7 times 6 is 42. So the total mass of the pencils is 42 grams. Now in terms of the pens, where their mean mass is 12 grams. So that means if we added up the masses of each of the 10 pens and divided by 10, we get that's equal to 12. So if we work backwards, if we take the 12 and times that by 10, so 12 multiplied by 10 is equal to 120 grams. So the total mass of the pens is 120 grams. So in terms of the markers, the mean mass of the markers is 15 grams. So that means that if we added up all the masses of the 4 markers and divided by 4, we get 15 grams. So if we work backwards, if we take the mean, which is 15, and multiply that by 4, 15 times 4 is equal to 60. So that's the total mass of the markers. So now we've got the masses of the pencils, the masses of the pens, and the masses of the markers. If we add those all up, that'll tell us the total mass of those items. So let's add these up and see what we get. So 120 plus 40 plus 60, and see what we get. So 0 plus 2 is 2, plus 0 is 2. 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 6 is 12, so put the 2 down, carry 1, and 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. That means the total mass of the items is 222 grams. Now we want to find the mean mass, so we know there's 20 items altogether, so we need to divide the total mass by 20. So we need to do 222 divided by 20. And then if we do that, we'll find the mean mass of the items. So 222 divided by 20. So how many 20s go into 2? 0 remainder 2. How many 20s go into 22? 1 remainder 2. How many 20s go into 22? 1, and then we've got remainder 2. So let's put a decimal point and a 0. So how many 20s go into 22? 1 remainder 2. And we've got a decimal point there. And how many 20s go into 20? 1. So the answer is 11.1 grams. So the mean mass of the 20 items in Tia's pencil case is 11.1 grams. And that's it. And if you got that, well done. Okay, question number 4 says the tennis club's got 165 adult and child members, so there's 165 members altogether, and the mean age of the 55 child members is 14 years, and the mean age of the 110 adult members is 40.7 years, and we've been asked to find the mean age of all the 165 members, so in other words, the combined mean. Okay, so let's find the total age of the child members. So the mean is 14 years, so if we multiply the mean by how many children there are, that'll tell us the total of their ages. So 14 multiplied by 55, it will tell us the sum of the child ages. So 14 multiplied by 55 is equal to 770 years. So if you added up all the ages of all the children, you get 770. And if we just check that, 770 divided by 55 is 14. So fantastic. Now in terms of the adults, their mean is 40.7. And if we multiply that by the number of adult members, which is 110, that will tell us the total of their ages. So 40.7 multiplied by 110 is equal to 4,477. So that's the total for the child ages, and that's the total for the adult ages. So if we add those together, and it's a calculator question, so that's quite nice, we can just type that into our calculator, and that's equal to 5,247. So we now know the total of their ages. We now can just divide it by how many members there are, which is 165. So 5,247 divided by 165 is equal to 31.8 years. So the mean age of the 165 members is 31.8 years. And that's it. And if you got that, well done. Okay, question number 5. Okay, so question number 5, we've got there's 25 students in class A and there's 15 students in class B and all 40 students did a test. The mean score for the students in class A, this class, is 81%, and the mean score of the children in class, or the students in class B, is 87%. So in class B, they just performed a bit better than class A. And the question says, work out the mean score of all the students. Okay, so let's start off with Class A to begin with. So in terms of Class A, their mean score was 81%. If we multiply that by 25, the number of students in that class, that'll tell us the total score by the class, so all the students in the class added together. So 81 multiplied by 25 is equal to 2,025. So that means that if we added up all the scores of the students in Class A, the answer would be 2,025. Now in terms of Class B, their mean is 87, and if we multiply that by 15, we can then find the total for Class B. So 87 multiplied by 15 is equal to 1,305. So we've got the total score for the students in Class A, and we've got the total for the students in Class B. If we add them together, that'll give us the grand total. 2,025 plus 1,305 is equal to 3,330. So that would be the total score of all the students. So if we added up all their scores, that's what we'd get. Now we just need to divide that by the number of students, which is 40. So 3,330 divided by 40 is equal to 83.25%. And that's it. And if you got that, well done. Okay, so question number 6. This is a bit different than the ones we've looked at so far, and let's have a look and see why. So there's 15 adults and 25 children, and they're completing a maze. And the length of time taken it took each person was recorded, so their times are recorded. And the mean time for all 40 people was 21 minutes. So the mean for everybody is 21 minutes. And the mean time taken by the 15 adults was 26 minutes. And this time we've been asked to work out the mean taken by the 25 children. So this time we're told the combined mean, and we want to find the mean for one of the groups, so in this case the mean for the children. So let's start off by looking at this combined mean. The mean time taken by all 40 people was 21 minutes. So if we take the 21 minutes and we multiply that by 40, so if we do 21 multiplied by 40, 21 multiplied by 40, that's equal to 840. So the total time taken by all 40 people was 840 minutes. Now, if we look at the adults, their mean was 26 minutes. So if we do 26 multiplied by 15, we can see how long it took the adults. And actually, let's just label this. This is for all people, so that's for everybody. In terms of the adults, if we take their mean, which is 26 minutes, and multiply that by 15, we can see how long it took the adults to do the maze. So in total, so if we take 26 and we multiply that by 15, that's a calculator question, that's nice, that's 390 minutes. So that's how long it took the adults to complete the maze. So we know how long it took everybody, 840 minutes. We've got how long it took the adults, 390 minutes. If we take those away, then that'll tell us how long it took the children in total to complete the maze. So 840 subtract 390 is equal to 450. So it took the children in total 450 minutes. Now, there's 25 children. So if we divide the total by how many children there are, that'll be the mean time taken by the children. So 450 divided by 25 is equal to 18. So the mean time taken by the children is 18 minutes, and that's it. So this one was a bit different because this time we were told the combined mean, so the mean time taken for everybody. We multiplied that by 40 to get the total time taken by everybody. We then worked out the total time taken by the adults and took those away to see how the total time for the children, and then divided that by 25 to find the mean time taken by each child, which is 18 minutes, and that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 7. So question number 7 says, in a class there's 12 girls and 16 boys, and in a test the mean mark for the boys was 32 and the mean mark for the whole class was 35, and we've been asked to work out the mean mark for the girls. So this is a bit similar to the last question where we're told the combined mean, which is the mean mark for the whole class. We've got the mean mark for the boys and we want to find the mean mark for the girls. So let's look at the whole class to begin with. Their mean mark was 35. And altogether, let's find how many people are in the class. 12 plus 16 is equal to 28. So there's 28 students in the class altogether. So if we take the mean, which is 35, because remember, if we added up all their scores and divided by 28, we'd get 35. So if we take the 35 and multiply that by 28, that'll tell us the total score for the whole class. So 35 multiplied by 28 is equal to 980. That's the total mark for the whole class. Now in terms of the boys, so if we have a look here at the boys, their mean is 32 and there's 16 boys. So if we take their mean, 32, and we multiply that by 16, how many boys there are, that'll be the total mark for the boys. So 32 multiplied by 16 is equal to 512. So that's the total mark for the boys. So if we now take that away from the total mark for everybody, that'll be how many marks the girls scored in total. So 980 subtract 512 is equal to 468. So that's the total mark for the girls. Now there's 12 girls, so if we divide their total by how many girls there are, that'll be the mean. So 468 divided by 12 is equal to 39. So the mean mark for the girls is 39. So that's it, that's their mean. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 8. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 8. So question number 8 says we've got a class of 30 boys and girls altogether, and the ratio of boys to girls in the class is 2 to 3. And the mean height of the girls is 1.64 meters, and the mean height for all 30 students is 1.7 meters. Work out the mean height for the boys. So this one's a bit like the last two questions where we're told the combined mean, the mean height for everybody in the class, and we've got the mean height for the girls. But this question is just a little bit different because we're not told how many boys and girls there are. We've got the ratio. So we're going to need to share 30 in the ratio 2 to 3 to begin with. So in terms of doing that, the way I would do this question normally is add the parts together. So I would do 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. So there's 5 parts altogether. I would then take the total, so how many students are in the class here, which is 30, and I would divide that by 5. And that'll tell us how many students are in one part. So 30 divided by 5 is 6. So the 6 students in one part. So for the boys, there's 2 parts. So there's 6 in one part. So if we do 6 multiplied by their number in the ratio, which is 2, 6 times 2 is equal to 12. So that means there's 12 boys in the class. Then if we look at the girls, their number of the ratio is 3. So 3 parts. So we're going to take our 6 and multiply that by 3. And 6 times 3 is 18. So there's 18 girls and 12 boys. Now we can do the question just like before, because we know the mean height for all 30 students. So that's 1.7 meters. If we take the 1.7 and multiply that by 30, that'll tell us the total height of everybody in the class. So 1.7, and this is a calculator question, just checking, that's quite nice. 1.7 multiplied by 30 is equal to 51 meters. So if you lined everyone up in a big line, that line would be 51 meters long. So the total height of everybody in the class is 51 meters, or if they stood on top of each other, it would be 51 meters tall. Okay, so that's the total height of everybody. Now in terms of the girls, their mean height is 1.64 meters. So if we take that 1.64, then we multiply that by how many girls are in the class, which is 18. And whenever we multiply those together, we get that's equal to 29.52 meters. So we've got the total height of everybody, the total height of the girls. If we take them away, that'll be the total height for the boys. So 51 take away 29.52 is equal to 21.48 meters. So that's the total height for the boys. And there's 12 boys. So 21.48 divided by how many boys there are, which is 12, will tell us their mean height. So divided by 12 gives us an answer of 1.79, so 1.79 meters. And that's the mean height of the boys in the class. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 9. So question number 9 says, Mr. Henderson owns 2 shops, A and B, and the table shows information about the number of customers each shop had one afternoon and the mean amount of money spent. So shop A had 305 customers and the mean amount of money spent was £3.80. And for shop B, they had more customers, 424, and they actually spent more money. Their mean spend was £5.97. And Mr. Henderson is going to run a promotion where the customers are given a voucher if they spend over £5. And Mr. Henderson says that the mean spend by all the customers in both shops was more than £5. And the question says, is he correct? Explain your answer. So what he wants to work out really is he wants to work out the combined mean. He wants to work out for all the customers, so the total number of customers, how much did they spend? What was their mean spend? Okay, so to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to work out how much money was spent in shop A. We're going to work out how much money was spent in shop B. We can then add those up to see how much money was spent in total in both shops, and then divide it by the total number of customers in those shops, and then that'll tell us the combined mean. Okay, so let's start off with shop A. So in shop A, so the mean amount of money spent in shop A was £3.80. So remember, that means that if we added up all the amount of money spent and divided by 305, that's equal to £3.80. So if we take our £3.80 and multiply that by 305, that'll tell us how much money was spent in shop A. So £3.80 multiplied by 305 is equal to £1,159. That's how much was spent in shop A. In shop B, the mean amount of money spent was £5.97. That means that if you added up all the amounts of money spent by all 424 customers and divide by 424, that's equal to £5.97. So if we take the £5.97 and multiply that by 424, that'll tell us the total amount of money spent in shop B. So £5.97 multiplied by 424 is equal to 2,000, so let's put our pound sign in, £2,531.28. So we've got how much money was spent in shop A, we've got how much money was spent in shop B. Remember, Mr. Henderson says the mean amount of money spent by the customers in both shops was more than £5. So we're trying to find out that combined mean. So let's add these up and see how much money was spent in the shops. So if we add this and this together, so that plus 1,159 is equal to £3,690.28. So that's how much money was spent altogether in those shops. Now, to work out the mean, what we need to do is work out how many customers there were. So if we take the 305 customers in shop A, and we add the 424 customers in shop B, that'll tell us how many customers there are all together. And that's going to be equal to 729. So that's fantastic. We know how much money was spent in total. We know how many customers there were. So if we take the £3,690 and 28 pence and divide that by 729, that'll tell us the mean amount of money spent by the customers in both of those shops, and we'll see if it's more than £5, and we'll see if Mr. Henderson's correct or not. So whenever we do that division, we get an answer of, and that's equal to 5.06211248.3. And let's round that. Let's round it to the nearest penny. That would be £5 and 6 pence. So to the nearest penny, it'd be £5 and 6 pence. So that's the mean amount of money spent by the customers in those shops. Now he says that, remember, they're doing a promotion where each of the customers spend more than £5 is given a voucher, and he says the mean amount of money spent by all the customers in both of those shops was more than £5. Well, that is more than £5. That is greater than £5. So that's greater than £5. So the question says, is he correct? The answer is yes. And I just said yes, the mean amount of money spent in both shops is £5 and 6p. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our last question. So our last question, we have got a football squad has got 3 goalkeepers, 8 defenders, 9 midfielders and 5 forwards. So that's the football squad. And we've got the mean height of all of the footballers. So all of the footballers, the combined mean. We've got the mean height of the goalkeepers, the mean height of the defenders and the mean height of the midfielders. And the question says work out the mean height of the 5 forwards. Okay, so in terms of this question, let's start off by finding the total height of all the footballers in the club. So if they were to add up all the height of the 25 players, how tall would they be? So we know the mean is 181. So that means that they've added up all the heights and divided by 25, they've got 181. So if we take the 181 and multiply that by 25, that'll be the total height of the footballers. So 181 multiplied by 25 is equal to 4,525. So that's the total height in centimetres of all the players. Now let's work out the total height of the goalkeepers, the total height of the defenders and the total height of the midfielders. And then we'll take all of those away from the total height of all the players, and that'll tell us the total height of the forwards. And then we'll divide by 5 to find their mean. Okay, so let's find the total height of the goalkeepers. So for that, we would take the 188, their mean, and multiply that by 3. For the defenders, we would take the 187 and multiply that by 8, how many defenders there are. And for the midfielders, we would take the 176 and multiply that by 9. And that'll tell us the total height for the goalkeepers, the defenders and the midfielders. So 188 multiplied by 3 is 564. 187 multiplied by 8 is equal to 1,496. And in terms of the midfielders, 176 multiplied by 9 is 1,584. And then if we add those up, that'll be the total height of those players. So 564 plus 1496 plus 1584 is equal to 3,644. So that's the total height of these players. We've got the total height of the whole squad. So if we take our 4,525 and subtract the 3,644, what's left will be the total height for the forwards. So when we do that, we get an answer of 881. Now there's 5 forwards, so if we take the 881 and divide that by 5, that'll tell us their mean height. So if we divide by 5, that's equal to 176.2 centimetres. So that's the mean height of the 5 forwards. And that's it. And that's our answer. And that's it. So in this video, we've gone through the video solutions to the combined mean practice questions. I really hope you found it useful. If you need any extra help, remember there's a video tutorial on the combined mean on Corbettmaths. If you go to video 53A, there's a fantastic video there for you. If you found this video useful, please like it and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I really hope it's helped. So thanks very much. Cheers. Bye.